Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 125. Thank you for joining us, as always, on this syntactful Sunday evening, Earth date September 10th, 2017. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me, as always, my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
They all float down here, Georgie. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, okay. So for those of the audience who don't know, and me, because I don't know, what was that?
I was quoting It. I figured if we're trying to, capitalize on the SEO of stuff to get more listeners in, we should make jokes. And It is fucking blowing up right now. The movie
is it right now?
It's a real It girl.
What?
I don't know.
No, that wouldn't.
There's only so many jokes you can make about It.
Yeah, it's not a very good joke to be made.
So yeah, I figured we'll just throw in some It quotes throughout the episode so we can tag them.
Oh, well, I'm glad you will, because I don't know anything about It.
That's the only It quote I know, so listeners get ready to hear that about 30 more times.
That's going to be worth it for everybody involved, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty great story.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's about this homosexual clown who's trying to build the perfect man, and there's a husband and wife who get locked in his fortress. And then he sings some songs to them.
I feel like you're making this up.
Nah, that's it. So go see it. Dueling Ogres, brought to you by Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
A subsidiary of the movie It.
This is going off swimmingly, let me tell you.
I love it.
You've got all this energy all of a sudden out of nowhere. We were talking earlier and you just seemed like you were as out of it as I am. And then you did a bump of coke and everything was hunky-dory.
Dude, I just flip a fucking switch. I'm a performer.
Yeah.
I'm on.
I mean, I guess I can't. Jesus. What was that? Did you flip a switch or did you eat a baby? That's what I want to know.
That's how I flip my switch. I munch on a toddler.
That makes perfect sense. That youthful energy. So what have you been up to?
I pretty much have finished playing Pokemon. I know I've had a long and interesting journey that the listeners have just been hanging on my every word about.
I mean, Larry asked about it.
Yeah, me forcing Pokemon to have sex with one another.
Right.
I finally hit a wall where I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting a PS3 a few weeks ago, super cheap.
Okay.
So I've been playing some PS3 games, basically going through because I've never owned a PlayStation 3 and picking up just console exclusives, stuff that I would have never played otherwise.
Like what? You're just going to leave me hanging?
Oh, you wanted more?
Yeah. I want more. I want to know what you've been doing. I've missed you. I love you. I want us to be friends forever.
Aw.
Yeah.
Besides the PS3, I've been hanging out with my new best friend. His name's Remington, and it's cool. He has a super sweet goatee, and he's like super in shape. And he actually has won awards for editing podcasts. And he doesn't think my impressions of It are stupid. So he's a pretty cool guy.
I don't think your impressions of It are stupid.
No, I know. It's fine, man. So yeah, this will probably be one of my last episodes of Dueling Ogres. We're actually doing Muling Ogres.
Sorry, I couldn't keep it together after that. Muling Ogres.
No, I picked up Kingdom Hearts 1.5.
Yeah.
I picked up Final Fantasy X and X-2 Remake, Little Big Planet, Heavy Rain, Shadow of the Colossus, Ico.
So like a lot of RPG style stuff.
Yeah, a lot of RPGs because that's where really PlayStation, Sony shines with their exclusives is RPG stuff. Right. Heavy Rain is one that I've been wanting to play forever.
That one sounds familiar. What's the premise of that one?
it's sort of a murder mystery. It's told in sort of, it follows different characters as they're trying to piece together this murder. The main villain is the Origami Killer. He's a serial killer who leaves folded up origami in people's hands.
That's cool.
Yeah. But as the main character, starting out, your son dies, kind of your fault within the first like half an hour of the game. That's really what sets off the whole thing.
Right.
You lose your son in the crowd and he gets hit by a car, and then it cuts to like years later and you're like this super depressed drunk. And the story looks awesome. The game won a lot of awards for how arty it was.
Yeah.
And I started playing it and I cannot fucking stand it. I can't stand the game at all. And I'm so bummed because I really wanted to enjoy it.
So what are you not liking about it?
Okay, so on a basic level, you have a controller. A PlayStation controller is built pretty much like any other controller, right? So it's a third-person game. How do you walk around in a third-person game? What do you use to move yourself?
Control stick, I guess?
Yeah, you use the left control stick, and then the right control stick will move the camera.
Right.
For this to move, you have to hold the trigger button in while you move the left stick. And then the way you steer yourself is you basically steer yourself like a boat. You can't just like move the thing in circles and kind of walk in circles. You hold the right stick, start moving yourself, and then you just keep walking until you let go. And then you kind of like tap it to veer yourself off to the sides.
God.
It's excruciating.
That sounds awful. Like, it doesn't even sound like something you get used to quickly.
No, I played for probably about an hour and a half. And yeah, I still was running into walls and stuff. I guess you could chalk that up to me not using a PlayStation controller, but it's not that much fucking different from an Xbox.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's a pretty standard design now.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick it out just because I've heard the story's really good. And it's one of those games I'd like to kind of check off my gaming bucket list to say that I've played through.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing outside of the normal crap.
Yeah. I've just
been working on writing some too.
How's your story coming along?
Good.
Did you use any of my technique from last time?
Yeah, I did actually. I wrote some random kind of stuff on the side just to start breaking the writer's block a little bit.
Yeah.
So now it's turned from a sci-fi comedy into like an X-rated lizard burlesque. Mixed with Half-Life fan fiction.
I mean, that sounds pretty awesome too.
Yeah. It's titillating.
Speaking of sci-fi comedy, Seth MacFarlane's new show is supposed to come out, or is supposed to premiere tonight. The Orville.
What channel is that on?
Fox.
No.
Yeah, the Orville.
The one, he's like a spaceship captain or something, right?
Yes. He's like a bumbling person in Starfleet, in quotes. It's not really Starfleet. It doesn't take place in the Star Trek universe, but you know, a Starfleet facsimile was a hard one to say. And he always wanted to be a captain, and they were running short on people who could be captains, so they started getting the dregs. So they gave him his own ship.
Is it something you're interested in?
I put the first episode on record. I think we're gonna watch it during dinner, just to give it the old college try. Like, I mean, we've shit on Seth MacFarlane before. I like Seth MacFarlane. I think he's funny. I think he surrounds himself with funny writers. Early Family Guy was awesome. American Dad was good. I even liked the Cleveland Show to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Later Family Guy just got too focused on his social commentary.
Yeah, and I mean, even early Family Guy kind of did, but it felt like it was more about being subversive in jokes, whereas it seems like newer Family Guy has become more just whatever political platform.
Yeah. I mean, at least in early Family Guy, there was a joke about a horse standing around talking to himself. I mean, you just don't get that as much. And it's more visceral, too. Like, there are a lot more, like, death jokes, I guess.
Like in the newer ones?
Yeah, like people just dying or like horrifically.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm going to sound like an old man here, but the show feels like it's gotten a lot more mean-spirited.
Maybe, yeah. Definitely a little more graphic. And as the show goes on, as we progress, I think that's just something that kind of happens. You can get away with more the longer you've been on air. But at the same time, like, bring back Death.
Yeah.
Like, I liked Death. He was a good character.
Like Norm Macdonald?
Yeah, like Norm Macdonald slash... who was the other guy that played Death? Because Norm did it a few times, and then the other guy from The Man Show.
Jimmy Kimmel?
No, Jimmy Kimmel, but who was his...
Oh, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla voiced Death as well.
Man, Adam Carolla and Norm Macdonald are very, very similar people. In demeanor and how they look.
Yeah. And kind of
it's like Adam Carolla was a failed clone of Norm Macdonald. He looks a little like more Frankenstein-y.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you see the bolts in his neck. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
So if there were a Starfleet or a Star Academy, where do you think you'd be on the ship?
Oh, that's a good question.
And we can assume for this that you could go through Starfleet training and pick your position.
Okay. So I get to be whatever I'd want to be.
Yes.
Okay.
You can say what you would want to be and then what you think you would actually end up being. Oh, and those could be the same thing.
I mean, see, that doesn't seem fair. Like, why would I pick the thing that I'd want to be, but what I'd actually think I would be? Like, well, if I put my mind to it, Brandon.
You want to be captain, because everybody wants to be captain.
I don't want
you're going to end up being the janitor.
I don't want to be captain. Nobody wants to be the captain.
I want to be the captain.
Do you? Do you want to make those hard decisions, Brandon?
Yeah.
Whether or not your crew lives or dies or meets a new alien species or, you know, the entire planet is resting on you being able to fend off the... You don't have... Maybe you'd be the best captain because you have no regard for human life.
Yeah, that's true. I do take the rest of the world's life in my hands every time I leave the house.
It's true. Oh, that's funny. Do you care about people?
Yeah, of course I fucking care about people.
You know, like just a stranger. Like, would you risk your life for a stranger?
I mean, of course I'd like to say that I would.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't really think you would.
Yeah, I think so. In the moment, I don't know. Yeah. I would be afraid that maybe like cowardice would hit me at that moment.
Yeah.
That's something I fear, is that if I'm ever faced with a strong situation like that there's going to be, because I don't consider myself a coward really, but I don't like confrontation. And I feel like not liking confrontation stems a little bit from a bit of cowardice.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I would agree with that sentiment.
But I feel like I would try to risk my life for somebody. Like if I saw a guy and he was about to get hit by a car, you know, I'd at least tweet like hashtag just almost watched a guy die. I would tweet at him if I knew what his Twitter account was and be like, hey dude, car coming.
Yeah.
LOL. Hashtag oopsies.
Hashtag friends for life.
And then I'd start a GoFundMe for him. And take a very reasonable 70%. You know, just the things that people do when they're nice people.
Yeah. I like where this is
going. I could see you working the shields.
Yeah, that would probably be a good job for me. I would say, yeah, probably working the shields, or maybe weapons.
Like working the guns.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, the targeting, as far as targeting goes, in a Galaxy class starship, you know, it would be all done through computers. So all it'd be is
you need to be careful because you're going to piss off a Starfleet gunner who's listening to our podcast right now.
Yeah.
All done by computers, he says.
I mean, I don't know if, you know, Starfleet actually even exists, Brandon. Okay. It's, you know, a fantasy world, a science fiction world. So if anybody is being pissed off about me saying that it doesn't take any skill to be a Starfleet gunner, they're fucking nerds, brah.
Well, NASA does have that planet protection officer.
That's true. But they don't do...
So you just pissed off whoever got hired for that job.
They don't do anything in regard to shooting things.
I'm pretty sure we did a whole thing about how they have guns.
Pretty sure
I remember all of that.
Pretty sure we just made all of that up.
Damn.
Yeah. See, I've run rings around you logically.
I'm going to have to throw that into my sex book.
Yeah, with Borderlands. Yeah.
I'd have to say, I would like to do engines. I think working engines would be fun.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know anything about engines, but I imagine it would be cool to like be in the engine room with like sweat and I've got coveralls and I'm like wiping my forehead with a wrench.
So like we're not talking like Starfleet, we're talking like Firefly.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Like, especially if I could be in the engine room with Kaylee.
Yeah.
And we would be working on engines together. Maybe our hands touch, we fall in love. You know, who knows? I haven't written this down anywhere. It's in my sex book.
Like, is the sex book the book that you're writing, or is this just this is a turn in our friendship that I feel like I should ask about?
No, it's a book that I'm writing. It's an adaptation based on a bunch of notes that I have scrawled on paper towels and there's things I found in public when I've decided to add something to my sex book.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going back to the movie It. Let's go ahead and add another little SEO check mark in there.
Right.
It's going to end up being around 1,000 pages or so.
That's a lot of words.
A lot more sex than It. Which logged the biggest opening day ever for a horror film in the UK, Brazil, Russia, Australia, Holland, and across Eastern Europe.
Wow. Dem segues, bro. Hashtag dem segues.
Hashtag sex book. So yeah, I have no desire to see it, really.
Yeah.
Did you watch the original It?
No, I didn't. I mean, we have discussed this before, I'm fairly certain, but I'm not a big horror movie genre fan. I don't like horror movies. I never have. I don't like gory ones. I don't like jump scares. I kind of like ones that make you think. Those I'm okay with. But I'm pretty lame. Like, I'm really lame.
Yeah.
Super lame.
You just want a good story about a lake house and some love.
Exactly. Yeah. You can just leave Jason Voorhees out of it. Just give me the lake house of love.
I want Jason sitting on the front porch sipping a tea.
Yeah. Sucking on gin and juice.
Laid back.
Are we showing our age?
Yeah. I feel like Snoop Dogg is timeless.
I agree.
Because it's nothing but a G thing.
Yeah. So no, you
beat me. You got me. What's your
okay. Now I don't even remember. Go ahead. It's all your show, buddy.
I thought you were doing a story.
I'm just written space in it.
New shirt? Question mark.
This is your show. Hey, I'm just written space in it. Yeah, I
guys. Since we're flying fast and loose right now with this episode, clearly we're going to mention it again. But guys, we are so fucking close to 300 likes on Facebook. And it's this arbitrary number, and it means absolutely nothing. But we have a new T-shirt design, and we've decided that we're going to release the new T-shirt design when we get to 300 likes. That's right. 4 away.
Yes, 4.
So share the page, convince a friend to do it, break into somebody's house in the middle of the night, get on their phone or computer, and like the Dueling Ogres Facebook page.
Yeah.
To get us to 300, we're going to have new shirts. It's going to make me feel better about myself. Remington's going to feel better because he's happy when I'm happy.
That's right. It's true.
And everything's going to be great. So do that for us, and that would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've been trying wherever I can to pimp us out.
I feel like that was a little pathetic.
It is pathetic, but I mean, fuck, it's 4 likes. Like, we can't get 4 likes. We can't get to 300. What the hell? This is Sparta! This is Sparta!
God.
That's all I want.
You did that so consecutively from 1 to 2 that it almost sounded like a soundboard.
This is Sparta!
You see, right now you're really making the case that I should just replace you with a soundboard.
That's really all you'd need. Just several clips of me going, uh-huh, mm-hmm. And then me going, yeah, that really makes sense. And
so Remington, I need you to hit me with a "This is Sparta" here in a second.
This is Sparta.
No, you gotta wait till I say what I'm gonna say.
Oh,
and then you're the soundboard.
Okay. This is
so Remington and Saturn news, we have another celebrity death this week.
This is Sparta! There was a little delay there.
That's inappropriate, Remington, but I'll continue. All right, so...
Sparta! Sparta!
So you remember...
I'm sorry, everybody.
Actually,
hold on. Yeah. I'm sorry, everybody. This is stupid.
If you want to show Remington that you don't agree with what he does, leave an angry like on our Facebook page. Because it's the only way he'll learn.
It's true. Just don't unsub.
Yeah, don't unsub. That makes him scream "This is Sparta" louder because he takes this as a sort of challenge.
That's right.
So you remember a few weeks ago when we talked about that stunt lady who had died?
Yes. On the Deadpool 2 movie?
Yeah. Danny Trejo did an interview with Yahoo Movies where he was talking about doing stunts, actors doing their own stunts on movies, and he had this to say. It's kind of a long quote, so I'm just going to barrel through it.
Okay.
I can't do a Danny Trejo voice. I'd try, but I don't think I can.
Okay.
I know that all the big stars hate me to say this, but I don't want to risk 80 people's jobs just to say I got big huevos on The Tonight Show, because that's what happens. I think a big star just sprained an ankle doing a stunt. He's talking about Tom Cruise on Tom Cruise's one of his new movies, sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
And they had to shut down shooting for like 6 weeks, I think.
Right.
I think a big star just sprained an ankle doing a stunt, and 80 or 180 people are out of a job. We have stunt people who do that stuff. And if they get hurt, I'm sorry to say, but they just need to put a mustache on another Mexican and we can keep going. But if I get hurt, everybody's out of a job, so I don't choose to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that most Mexicans are better looking than Danny Trejo, so you can't just throw a mustache on one.
Oh, he's like the Mexican seal.
He's like the most Mexican. He's truly a Mexican.
So, I mean, I don't like Tom Cruise that much anyway, mostly because of the Scientology thing, and I think he just seems super duper fake.
Yeah.
But that has been one of the things that I've kind of thought was cool about Tom Cruise is that he does his own stunts. So This was an interesting point to hear Danny Trejo make about why stars shouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are stunt people for a reason, you know, like Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton was his own person. He did all of his own. Yes, I'm going that far back in movie history. Buster Keaton did all of his own stunts.
Okay.
And that's exactly the case. Like, if you get hurt, and part of the problem is that they stop everything and let the actor get back to a working order before they start everything back up again. It's not like with Jackie Chan, who finished shooting, what was it, Rumble in the Bronx? No, not Rumble in the Bronx, although half a dozen movies, but whatever one where he jumps onto the hovercraft and breaks his ankle. Like,
yeah, I was reading about Jackie Chan and how he's got hurt a few times.
Yeah. So he's jumping from a bridge pylon onto a hovercraft. And I mean, you can even kind of see it in slow motion where his ankle twists to the point where it snaps. And
so they left the actual shot in the movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ugh.
So, I mean, it's not as gruesome as it sounds. I mean, it just kind of bends to the point where like you realize, that would probably break an ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Or that might look like a broken ankle. But it's not like it snaps like and then is flapping in the wind, you know? So
the ankle falls off and gets sucked into the fan of the hovercraft.
Yeah. Just the ankle.
Yeah.
Just the Achilles heel. Now everybody knows what my Achilles heel is. But
my literal Achilles heel.
Yeah. So, but he didn't stop shooting. I mean, granted, it was close to the end of the movie, but he did other things. Like they had a scene where he was running on a beach and he had one leg in he had his bad leg in a wheelchair and somebody was behind him pushing, and they just had the camera angle up high enough to where you didn't see it. And he made it look like he was running. Yeah. Like, he did what he had to do to finish the movie. Or like when he had shots, you can actually see, if you're paying attention toward the end of the movie, where he's in a walking cast and they made a sock that looked like his other shoe that fit over the walking cast. Yeah. So,
well, I think he makes a good point partially about how some of these actors will do it just to go on the Tonight Show and say they have big balls.
Yeah.
By kind of that humble brag of I do my own stunts.
Yeah. I mean
Danny Trejo is also like 70, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, Danny Trejo is a pretty old guy as far as it goes. Like, even if he wanted to do stunts when he was younger, I mean, he certainly wouldn't want to be doing them now.
Yeah.
It's like Jackie doesn't take the chances that he used to take when he was a kid.
The point that he makes about how if you, as the main actor, are doing your own stunts, there are people who are paid to do stunts, and if you get hurt, you shut down production, and these people, all of the PAs and everybody else who works on a movie set, are just literally out of work for however long it takes for you to heal up.
Yeah.
And that you're being selfish almost by doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
So would you do your own stunts if you were a famous movie guy? Within reason? I mean, you don't have to jog or anything.
Would I do my own stunts? Maybe to a certain extent, but I wouldn't take any unnecessary risks. You know? Like,
yeah.
I would say it has less to do with like a bragging right or anything. Like, if it's something that I physically don't think that I'm able to do, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to train myself to the point where I think that I could just do this stunt. Or if it's something that maybe I have to do multiple takes, as this actress did, this stunt woman did, where it's on a motorcycle or some other moving instrument. You know, machinery is dangerous. It is inherently dangerous because it has no way of knowing when your fleshy body is in the way or not. So
yeah, I feel like it would be way safer to just do these stunts where you're just jumping from one roof to another, something that all relies just on your body and muscle memory versus adding in any sort of outside whatever.
Right. So would I do my own stunts? To a point. You know, whenever the shot dictated that it needed to be me just because you could clearly see my face or something to that effect, then yes, but otherwise, no, I'd absolutely turn over to a stuntman.
Yeah, and it does seem a little selfish now that he mentioned that. It was an interesting way of thinking about it anyway.
Yeah.
And I guess while I'm on movie news, I will mention now, I read this story as well, that Jared Leto is in the new Blade Runner movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's in Blade Runner 2049.
And now he's an actual robot?
Yeah. He's such a method actor that he's got like a toaster on his back. He has a blender in his belly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, the character he's playing is blind.
Yeah.
So he put in clouded contacts to make himself blind on set.
Okay.
So that's just his method acting, I guess.
Yeah.
The director of the movie had this quote to say. The director is Denis Villeneuve. He could not see at all. He was walking with an assistant very slowly. It was like seeing Jesus walking into a temple. Everybody became super silent, and there was a kind of sacred moment.
What the fuck are you doing? Like, it started off shitty Italian, and then it went to fucking Jamaican?
He has a foreign name. I assumed he was Italian, so I was reading Italian.
But then you went Jamaican.
Can I finish the quote?
Yes, please, go on.
Everybody was in awe. It was so beautiful and powerful. I was moved to tears. So apparently Jared Leto walking in, contacts that blind him. Blew the movie director's eyes.
See, quotes like that, people, are the reason why method actors keep doing their stupid method acting thing. Just go in there, do your fucking job, and then get the fuck out. Seriously.
Well, I know this is kind
of... I'm going to wear fucking contacts and be blind. Close your eyes, asshole.
He went on to say there was more to the quote. I just took that because that was the main part of it. Right. But that like he was having people lead him around between takes and like he was being blind and very like in focus with his character. That stuff's just annoying to me.
It is to me too. Like I can even get behind a certain amount of method acting.
Oh yeah.
But like if it's a character where you really need to just kind of dial in, like it's a very specific thing that you have trouble getting to, so you have to stay in that character in between scenes just because it's hard to get there. But I don't know. There's a point where it's just annoying.
Well, there's a point where you're just being obnoxious. Like, wasn't it Jared Leto who was the Joker and was like mailing condoms and stuff to the people on Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
I had to look up the quote. I know it's old hat and I'm sure everybody's heard it at this point, but it was a quote from Dustin Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
He was filming the movie Running Man. And at one point his character had been up for 3 days straight. So he was talking to Laurence Olivier about it. And Laurence Olivier asked him, so how are you doing that? How are you, getting that, becoming that character?
Right.
And Dustin Hoffman said, I've stayed up for 3 days to get this character. I've just stayed up for 3 days straight. And Laurence Olivier replied famously, my dear boy, why don't you just try acting?
Yeah.
Which I think fits so well. And who knows, like, I don't mean to sound like I'm shitting on Jared Leto, because outside of like Suicide Squad and this being kind of eye-rolly in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I like Jared Leto as an actor.
Well, I don't see, here's the thing. When the method acting, when that becomes the story instead of
exactly,
that's when it becomes obnoxious. When we have to talk about Jared Leto's method acting being more important than the new story that he's in, that's when it becomes a thing that makes me salty.
Especially on something like Blade Runner, which has some huge shoes to fill.
Exactly. It's fucking Blade Runner. Like, don't make a big deal about your stinking actor, or don't let other people make a big deal out of your acting, maybe. I don't know.
Well, and the fact that the director said everybody became super silent, there was a kind of sacred moment, everybody was in awe, it was so beautiful and powerful, I was moved to tears.
Yeah.
It's just this, it's the same thing with Suicide Squad, where all these stories came out before the movie came out about how fucking crazy he was as the Joker and how he mailed dead pigs. And then the movie came out and he wasn't in it that much. And people were like, yeah, I mean, he was an all right Joker. Like,
yeah.
He was okay.
I mean, didn't they say that they shot almost enough for an entire Joker movie?
Yeah. And they edited him down to like 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Just cut him out of it. Like, I mean, to be fair, that's a bigger disservice than cutting what's his name,
Buster Keaton from the Talkies.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.
It's a bigger deal than trying to silence Red Skeleton.
Really?
I'm trying to think of actors from that time period. I don't know.
Yeah, let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
Gosh,
I'm not stopping you, man.
The ending.
That's a bigger. Okay. I'm sorry. That was the last one.
Why do you hate me? Why do you just love to get me flustered, don't you?
I'm trying to pull energy, and I know it can be obnoxious, but it's keeping me going. I'm like throwing in the last bit of coal into this fire right now.
Me too, buddy. At the end of Lord of the Rings, the actor who played Saruman, they cut his final scene for time. And I mean, it was in the directorial releases, but they cut that last scene for time. And I think he was like, it was my final scene. Like,
yeah,
you cut my final scene. I don't want to. I think he didn't go to the award shows or whatever that were something to that effect. I can't.
Yeah, I remember reading he was pretty pissed off about it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I can understand that. Like, if you made enough footage to do almost an entire other movie and you're in it for 10 minutes, ouch.
Yeah.
Although I was watching something the other day about Beetlejuice, the movie Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize it, but Beetlejuice was only in that movie for about, like, we don't even see Beetlejuice until like the 25 or 35 minute mark or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, there's this whole other movie, and then finally Beetlejuice shows up. And the character tested so well that scene at the end when he's sitting in the waiting area with the voodoo doctor, and
who shrinks his head.
That was an added scene just so he could get more screen time because he tested so well. So,
where would you put Michael Keaton as far as actors?
Oh, Michael Keaton was probably, and I mean, I haven't seen some of the new stuff. Like, I wanted to watch Birdman. It's recorded. I have it. I want to watch it. I just haven't had a chance to yet. I want to see him as the Vulture. He's a good actor. I guess, I mean, he was really big in the 80s and the early 90s, and then he did Multiplicity, and that really kind of shot him in the foot. And he started getting less and less work from there and was more family-friendly movies and that sort of thing. And now we're seeing him make a resurgence and doing almost kind of indie-style stuff, and then up from that where it's very interesting storytelling, that sort of thing. And now we're seeing him back in a superhero movie, which is nice.
Seems like a lot of 90s actors have a good shot at a second coming of their career in indie movies.
Yeah.
Especially as they get older, seeing like an old actor that you haven't seen in a while suddenly playing like this real heartfelt piece.
Yeah.
Really seems to get people's cinema boners going.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I mentioned the ones, but he's done several other movies over the past few years too that they're not my kind of a movie that I'd want to sit down and watch. But I mean, if it were on TV and I was like, oh, it's Michael Keaton in this movie that I've never seen or heard of, I'll watch it because I know that Michael Keaton's a solid actor.
Yeah.
So,
would you say he was the best Batman? Non-animated Batman, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Okay, so we had Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney. Who am I missing?
Christian Bale.
I thought there was a fifth one. Wasn't there? Not counting Adam West?
Maybe.
Are you going to check?
Yeah. No, nobody that you didn't name. I mean, there's a bunch of other ones, but these are like Batman Beyond, Batman Year One.
Yeah.
You got Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, Val Kilmer.
Ben Affleck, that's who I was forgetting.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you were going that close up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen Ben Affleck playing Batman yet. From the snippets of Justice League, it seems like he's fitting that part a little better. At least when I'm seeing him as Bruce Wayne, I like him as Bruce Wayne. You know, I haven't seen him playing Batman though. So of the Batmen that I have seen, excluding Adam West, because it's just such a huge departure from what we know Batman to be.
Like, that you don't really count him in there.
Yeah, I mean, he's his own Batman. He is his own White Dark Knight. So
the other four guys are vying for second best Batman.
Yes.
Adam West is his own Adam West Batman.
Yeah, he is the Batman.
Number one Batman.
I would say Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton was the best pseudo-serious Batman. Christian Bale was good, but
it's hard to get past the voice for me.
Yeah.
It's become such a joke now, but even when I first saw the movie before the joke had become the joke that it is now, it still was like, really? That's what he chose to go with?
That's what you're going with there, Christian Bale?
And I don't know how you could get around it. I get that he's trying to do more disguising his voice to not sound like Bruce Wayne, and it makes sense. Batman would do that. Batman would lower his voice a little bit when he talked.
Yeah.
But yeah, going from I need to change my voice a little bit to like talking like this the whole time.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, might as well just do a British accent. I'm Batman.
Hey, then, stop that crime.
Oh, you stop that crime right there. Oi, why don't you go back to the pub and get some sausages?
What, are you trying to take a piss now?
Oh, why don't you take a piss right out of here? That's right.
Man, we're so good at British.
We know some off British idioms.
Fanny. I've watched a lot of this super fucking vulgar British show called The In-Betweeners.
Uh-huh.
So I know a lot of different British words for vagina.
That's cool.
If I needed to become Batman, I guess I could yell vagina terms at the criminals as they ran away.
If you adopted a British accent.
Yeah.
Of course, then people would be wondering why a British guy is in Gotham fighting crime.
British Batman.
Like, were you born and raised here? Like, what is driving you to be a Batman in our city?
It'd be Bat Bloke, I think.
Oh, he's Bat Bloke. Oh, you just came down from the sky.
Criminals in an alleyway, you know, and they're beating up an old man.
Yeah.
And then you see the silhouette of Batman as he, like, falls behind them silently.
No.
They slowly turn around when they realize, and he leans forward and he goes, "So what's all this then?"
See,
what's all this then?
That would be terrifying. What's all this then? Are you boys doing crime? You're about to find out what happens when you do crime in my city.
I will pull all my gadgets out of this giant bag. A little bit of Mary Poppins in there.
It's a huge sack full of things that'll make you cry.
Yours is way scarier than mine.
That's because I'm fat. That's the only reason. Just get that little B word going, a little gargle in the back of the throat. Oh, look at that there.
Because, I mean, your Batman sounds like he could be Jack the Ripper. Your Batman sounds like he works shirtless at a fish factory, at a fish farm.
Yeah.
He sounds like he would always have a hard-on at the slaughterhouse. That's what that voice sounds like.
This is escalating a lot. Do we have another story? I'm going to go on to something different. This is getting weird. So apparently Xbox One and Microsoft pushed a game developer so hard that they made them quit.
Really?
Yeah. A Xbox. Yup. Xbox.
What's all this then?
What's all this then? It's an Xbox. Stormlands, which was going to be an Xbox exclusive. See, doing that voice is just fucked my mouth all up. Like, I can't do anything.
You can just do the rest of it like that voice. Me and the listeners won't care a bit.
I'm sure they won't. So Stormlands was this Xbox exclusive.
I was wrong. I hate it.
And this is coming from GameZone.com. And it reads, canceled Xbox One exclusive Stormlands was going to use the cloud to power dynamic 40-player raids. And then the subtitle is, Microsoft dreamed beyond what is possible. So Stormlands was going to be a Witcher-like action RPG where giant monsters could dynamically appear in the environment and players could charge forth and take them in a raid with the help of dozens of other players, all of whom saw the same monster in the same moment in their own game. While this is going on, the footage was going to be recorded to the cloud, which is then intelligently edited and sent back to the player for their own personal account of the events of the battle. Sounds really freaking cool.
Okay, so what it sounds like it's saying, at least from what I can parse from it, is that it's like open world, but it would be single player, I guess, until up to enough players, because there's a couple games that do this kind of thing, and I don't remember the exact term for it. Like Journey for PS3 is a perfect example of one.
Right.
It's a single player game, but you can be connected online. And when you're connected online, the game is constantly, you'll hit certain points where the game kind of pings out and is like, who is somebody who's in this same area of the game? And when that happens, it connects your two games. So suddenly in your single player game, you have another player there who is at the same spot in the game as you are.
Right.
And then when you guys get far enough away, your games kind of disconnect from one another.
Okay.
So it kind of sounds like that's what they were wanting to do.
Yeah.
With mentioning specifically that all the players will see it in their own game zones. That's what makes me think it would be predominantly single player.
Yeah. And it very well could be. They don't really... I mean, did you play The Witcher? I know that was a very popular game.
Yeah, I've played The Witcher. I haven't beaten it, but I've played it.
Was it a single player?
Yeah.
Okay, so then yeah, I would agree with your assessment.
Yeah, I'm guessing with comparing it to The Witcher, they're just picking a game that was fucking awesome to say, yeah, it was going to be like The Witcher. But also The Witcher had a very distinctive style in the way it played.
Yeah.
In the way that it was open world and you fought like giant monsters and etc.
Right. So
the streaming to the cloud is weird.
Why is that?
To just record the fight and then send it back to you automatically?
I mean, why is that weird? I guess, if it would be epic enough for you to want to save and share, because isn't that one of the big things is sharing your moments with your friends and all of that bullshit?
Oh, God, yeah. Xbox is pushing that so fucking hard now.
So, it makes sense that they would continue to push it, especially in an Xbox One exclusive.
Yeah, but you can record on your Xbox already. And you've been able to do that since day one. There's been a game DVR built right into it.
Right. So, anyway, the game Stormlands was being headed up by Obsidian. That was the developer. And apparently Microsoft kept throwing more and more ideas to Obsidian that they were like, oh, work this into the game, do this, do that, do that. That it was getting to the point where it was not going to be ready for the Xbox One launch. So
the things that you're talking about it doing are things that games now, 4 years into the Xbox One's life, still can't do or aren't doing.
Right.
So yeah, it sounds like Microsoft had very lofty goals.
Yeah. And it's certainly one thing to show off your new stuff. I can get behind that, but at the same time, like, you would think that a company that designs the hardware to play the software would know, at least in passing, what is feasible in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's peculiar to me that this is the reason why.
Microsoft doesn't have a good track record with first-party titles this console generation anyway.
Yeah.
Compared to Sony with their exclusives. And it's sad for Obsidian because Obsidian kind of ran into a same sort of issue when they worked on Fallout New Vegas however many years ago.
Yeah.
Bethesda gave them, I think, a year or like 10 months to make Fallout New Vegas from beginning to end.
This was a title, not Xbox One X, but Xbox One.
It was for the Xbox One.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, it was canceled way back in 2012.
Yeah, that's why. And I saw this story pop up on my newsfeed and I didn't read it. It kind of amazed me that this story is coming out now, considering the Xbox One is, years old.
So, for the listeners at home, this is not a game that was getting ready to come out soon. This was a game from way back with Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I guess that the point that they're trying to make with this article really is that you can have the developers of the system breathing down your neck to do something, and if you push too hard, something can just completely shut down. Like, they were wanting them to hire more people to try and get it done, and it was simply something that was not within the realm of possibility for Obsidian.
Okay.
So, but I guess this is all kind of information that's coming out now. It was an interview with
good luck pronouncing that name, Jesus. Fergus Urquhart.
Yeah.
the CEO of Obsidian.
Yeah. So I guess this was an interview had with him about why Stormlands was never something that came out.
Man, I'm such a sucker for these kind of like in-depth looks at the gaming industry. Like what are they called? I'm totally blanking on what they're called right now. Where like you look back, a retrospective. Whenever
right, yeah,
a director or CEO after a game's canceled years down the road will do a kind of a tell-all interview of like, here's what happened.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like Mass Effect. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that sort of thing too. Like I love looking back and seeing, oh, so this is what happened. This is why Futurama really got canceled, or this is why this and that and the other happened. Yeah.
It's such an interesting insight into how it actually works, how the industry works, and the crazy, stupid things sometimes it can affect and just domino.
Right, exactly. So in 2012, Urquhart got the call from Microsoft that the game had been canceled. As a result, Obsidian had to lay off multiple staffers and quickly get themselves back on track. Fortunately, Obsidian is doing quite well for themselves today, as Pillars of Eternity 2 is their biggest project in the pipeline, alongside an expansion for Tyranny, a small Pathfinder card game, and more prominent unannounced project. Still, it would have been nice for Xbox fans to have Stormlands as a launch exclusive. And I mean, the game itself sounded like it was really cool, even for the lofty goals and for the Xbox One. I think that the technology, it's like you said, they're just now on the cusp of using this technology in systems.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm sure it was possible from day one to do it. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm speaking out of my ass there. I feel like the Xbox could handle it now. I mean, all you're doing is creating an instance with people and then live stream. I feel like the live streaming would be the hardest part. Right. Or the on the fly recording it, uploading it, and then giving it back to you would just be so intensive on things.
Yeah, I would think so too, especially with, I mean, I'm only speaking from my own experience, but I know that rendering can be a big bear to your system.
Yeah, well, and if all it's doing is recording on your screen like a DVR, then you can do that already.
Yeah.
But if it's recording 40 separate instances of the same fight to send to 40 separate players, either they're getting the same thing they already saw, or it's combining different people's viewpoints, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
And would be so intensive, I would imagine, on the system.
Yeah, but I mean, if that were happening on the server end, and then all you're getting back is just the compressed version of the multiple instances, and it's all in one cut, then that's not so bad.
Yeah, but the server doing this for however many thousands of people are playing all at the same time.
Yeah, that's a valid point too.
I mean, what do I know, really? I know fuck all about programming or server stuff. So,
right.
You know, who knows? This is all subjective. This is all opinions.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's all this show is, Brandon.
Yeah.
We're two assholes
believe
with opinions.
Me, when I get to the Facebook shout-outs, I personally definitely took a lashing for a thing I messed up on last week. More than any other corrections I've ever gotten in the history of this podcast, I got last week on a mistake I made. So.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your take on it.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of salty.
Speaking of salty, or speaking of sweet, Remington.
Ooh. Probably not as good of a segue as the other one.
Not as good. What's your favorite kind of chocolate, Remington?
A mild dark.
Dark chocolate's pretty good. White chocolate's awesome.
White chocolate.
White chocolate's fantastic.
Only if it's a really good white chocolate, and even then, I don't like a ton of it.
Regular chocolate, who cares? So boring. Guess what, Remington? What? For the first time in 80 years, they have invented a fourth kind of chocolate.
What could it possibly be, Brandon?
Swiss chocolatier Barry Callebaut, which I thought was a person, but is actually apparently the company.
Okay.
Barry Callebaut.
Okay.
Has launched a new type of chocolate called Ruby. It's ruby chocolate made from the ruby bean. It has a pink hue and a berry fruitiness taste to it.
A ruby chocolate?
Yeah. Just invented after 80 years.
Ruby chocolate. Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, apparently they had to kind of mess around with it to get like a proper rendering process for it.
Yeah.
But they finally figured it out.
Huh.
Timeline puts it at like 6 months or so before we might actually be able to try any, before stuff will start rolling out with it.
Yeah.
Because the Barry Callebaut themselves create chocolate that they then sell to distributors.
Right, yeah. I mean, so would it not just be...
It's not flavored with berries.
Right.
It's the actual just flavor of the bean. So you have vanilla bean, which gives you vanilla chocolate, whatever the other beans are. I don't know where dark chocolate comes from.
Right.
Presumably dark chocolate beans. I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this comes from the ruby bean.
Huh. It's fascinating. Does it taste like real rubies?
Yes, Remington. It tastes like a fucking gem.
Good.
It tastes like you're eating a gem.
Good. That's what
this was my favorite part of this whole story, more so than the fact that there's a new chocolate, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
that there's a new chocolate after 80 years. But here's the quote from the Chief Innovation and Quality Officer describing what Ruby is about.
Okay.
I'm not going to try to do an accent because I feel like I really blew my load with the amazing accents earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably accented out. You should take a break before you ruin that perfect voice.
Consumer research in very different markets confirms that Ruby chocolate not only satisfies a new consumer need found among millennials, hedonistic indulgence, but also high purchase intent at different price points.
Wait, is he calling us fat?
Yeah, I love the line, hedonistic indulgence.
Hedonistic indulgence. Feel like hedonism bot. Bring in the ruby chocolates.
I mean, hedonism is not a compliment. No matter how you spin it, you can't compliment somebody by saying they're hedonistic.
No, that's not a good thing to be.
I don't know if this is a translation error because I assume that he said it in, Swiss? Is that the language?
I don't know.
Swiss? I think so. Maybe. I don't know. You're yawning, so I can tell that you're fucking enthralled with this story.
No, I am. I was reading the Nerdist column about it. Dueling Ogres, a subsidiary of the Nerdist.
A subsidiary in the sense that we just read articles from the Nerdist.
Yeah. So this article from the Nerdist about the chocolate, while adding another chocolate to go besides milk, dark, and white is obviously exciting, what about the really important question, how does it taste? To which there is a quote that says, "The fourth type of chocolate offers a totally new taste experience, which is not bitter, milky, or sweet, but a tension between berry fruitiness and luscious smoothness." So
maybe yogurty?
Maybe. Would it be unctuous? I like that word, unctuous.
Unctuous?
Yes, it's a good word.
Oh, weird. Sorry, I was starting to pull up shout-outs, and Facebook has changed so much on mobile.
Oh, yeah?
The way the websites and everything are laid out, it looks a lot different now.
It's freaky weird and like not working half the time. It's kind of annoying. Unctuous may not be the best word for it. I don't know.
What does unctuous mean?
Excessively or ingratiatingly flattering or oily.
Okay.
And chiefly that's of a person and of minerals having a greasy or soapy feel. So maybe unctuous isn't a good word for it, but I like the word anyway.
Look at you with your unctuous words.
Yes.
Walking around with your $10 words here.
Smooth and greasy in texture or appearance, full of unction. Revealing or marked by a smug, ingratiating, and false earnestness or spirituality. So, I don't know. Yeah, I guess not the right word, but I still enjoy saying it. So
unctuous.
Yeah. So in a slightly more sad, people die sometimes news sort of deal, comic book legend Len Wein passed away at the age of 69 today. He was known for co-creating Swamp Thing, Marvel Comics' Wolverine, helping revive X-Men when it was starting to fall on some rough times.
Oh, wow.
He was an editor of The Watchmen, so long in the tooth in the comic industry.
Yeah.
So he passed away at the age of 69 today.
That news makes me feel unctuous. That is, whenever people ask me who my favorite superheroes are, I default to Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is the pumpkin spice of favorite superheroes. It's just like, yeah, of course. Yeah. Everybody likes fucking Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
I could give or take Spider-Man, I guess, sometimes.
I'm ending this podcast.
But Wolverine, yeah, absolutely Wolverine. You'd have to be crazy.
Wolverine appeals to so many generations because, as a teenager, as an angry teenager, you see this badass guy. And then as an adult, you see the conflict in him as a character. Right,
exactly. Wein was one of the first Silver Age comic book fans to break into the industry as a professional, and he got a start with an issue of Daredevil in 1970. 1 year later, Wein and artist Bernie Wrightson created the iconic DC horror character Swamp Thing. Wein went on to write several DC titles, including Justice League of America and Batman. Among his many contributions to that comic book universe, Wein co-created The Human Target, Lucius Fox, and the third incarnation of Clayface. But it was at Marvel that Wein unleashed his most popular creation, Wolverine. In 1974, Wein and artist Herb Tryme And John Romita Sr. introduced Wolverine within the pages of The Incredible Hulk. Wein later used Wolverine as one of the all-new X-Men alongside his other co-creations, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Thunderbird. While Wein didn't stay with the X-Men title, his characters proved to be invaluable to the franchise and among Marvel's greatest superheroes. This says, again, from The Nerdist. And that just happened to be the first article that I clicked on to pull up. I didn't even read who it was from. They did a fine job. But as of right now, there's no reason behind why he passed away. Yet there's no release about the reason, the cause of death. So
I was looking up. He had to have been amazed seeing Logan in theaters and seeing what came from creating this character turned into probably one of the greatest superhero movies of all time.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. And you watched Logan, right? I know we discussed it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And it was really good. So good. So
he had a tweet from earlier this year saying, just saw Logan, OMG, I can't possibly think of enough superlatives to describe it. Not just great superhero film, a great film, period.
Yeah.
So I was afraid looking it up that it was going to be like Logan was bullshit and didn't stick to the thing of the character.
Right.
But I'm glad that at least as he left, he was seeing his creation really doing something amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit of a downer to end the show on.
Yeah,
do you have anything else to spicing up the life of things?
I had something I wanted to talk about this week, and I had some notes for it. But then at the last minute, I saw that there's some contention with this information that came out, and now other scientists are debunking this news.
Oh, okay.
So I want to save it to get into more in-depth next week.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Voynich Manuscript?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a scientist who said that he figured out what it meant. He decoded it.
Oh.
And it seemed pretty accurate. Now, other scientists are coming out of the woodwork and saying he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So
you better stick to this because I want to be in on this story.
I will. I tend to forget about things that I say I'll talk about next week, as do you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a little bit of history on the Voynich Manuscript so I can give like a quick rundown for the listeners who might not know what it is.
Okay.
And I'd like to get into a little bit of it.
Okay.
Do a little bit more of an informative as opposed to a wacky send in the clowns. Classic right. Dueling Ogres send up.
That's right. So talk about some stuff that we're getting into this month. We have the River City Comic Con coming up. Yep. We have the Parkersburg PopCon as well. We are going to be involved in a panel in the River City Comic Con.
Yes, it's going to be September 17th in Marietta, Ohio, right?
Yes, at
noon is when our panel is.
Yes, in Marietta, Ohio, at the Marietta College. It is running September 17th, like we said, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is $5, and kids under 12 are free. You can check out their Facebook page, just River City Comic Con 2017. I think it's an event.
Yeah, it's the longest running con in the Mid-Ohio Valley.
This is true. Yep.
So check out the original.
And it's Jordan that does all of it, right? I mean, doesn't he pretty much head up most everything on it? Yeah,
Jordan. I guess I don't want to say for sure, but I think that Jordan was the one that created it originally.
Yeah. I mean, Michael K. Easton probably helps, but let's be realistic.
Yeah, Jordan is nice to us, so we'll give Jordan the credit for it. So nice job, Jordan, for doing it 100% by yourself.
Yeah. And he might. I mean, we have no idea.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Dyson Botto Recreation Center at the Marietta College on Butler Street in Marietta, Ohio. And then we have the Parkersburg PopCon, which is that next weekend. Would that be correct? No,
September 30th.
The weekend after that. So we have a convention on the 17th and then a convention on the 30th. So you get to skip a week.
2 weekends.
Yes, that's right.
We're gonna do the River City Comic Con
right
on a Sunday.
Yes, on a Sunday.
2 weeks from then, on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. We're going to have the PopCon.
That's right. It runs from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will be one of the earlier panels, like one of the first or second panels. It was, and I'm hoping it's not going to be still up in the air as to whether or not I can be there. And I like to be honest with everybody, Yeah. So if for some reason I can't, there are a lot of changes going on at work where I became super important all of a sudden, and now I have to do things.
You've always been super important to me, Remington.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. And I do a lot of things here too.
Yeah.
So, do more, please. No.
You laugh, but you had a look of pleading behind your eyes. And now, coming out of your mouth as you said, do more, please.
One of these days, I'm going to teach you how to edit this stuff. That way, in case I can't do it, you can do it. So,
as soon as that happens, I'm quitting.
That makes sense. I mean, you'll find somebody else.
I don't do anything that's hard.
The only reason I'm on this podcast is because I do the editing. If Brandon learns how to do it, he won't need me anymore.
Exactly.
So I guess
I've done other podcasts, Remington. I'm pretty intolerable if I'm not with you.
Oh, so do you have another one coming up? Do you have any news about that?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
She's not on a timetable. I did the 90s TV Hour podcast. I think we mentioned it last week. I don't remember.
I think we did, but fucking plug it again. Who cares?
You can find it on Facebook would be the easiest way. Actually, no, you can download it on iTunes and stuff. So you can search 90s TV Hour podcast. It's one of the last episodes. It's about drugs in 90s sitcoms. So it's me and the host, whose name is Jenny. She had me on as a guest, where I discuss Full House and Saved by the Bell, both very special episodes talking about drugs.
Right.
We are recording Tuesday there was an old drug PSA in the 90s called Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
That was an anti-drug PSA created by the government, starring like Alvin and the Chipmunks, Winnie the Pooh, Slimer. It was this huge crossover event with a bunch of different creative teams.
Right.
It was kind of like Sony and Marvel working together. Right. It was kind of like that on a huge fucking scale. So we're going to do a quick half hour, 45-minute episode to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
She was pretty clear about the time because
you talk a lot.
On the last episode we recorded, there was a lot edited out because once I get going, I can kind of go.
Yeah, so, she doesn't know how to wrangle you in like I do.
Yeah.
So we will keep an eye out for that.
And then I will probably be doing another podcast I'll talk about as we get closer that'll come out sometime in October, where I'm going to be on with a gentleman discussing Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh, man, that sounds cool.
One of my favorite horror movies of all time.
I mean, for you, not for me because I know nothing about it, but for you, it sounds cool.
He punches a man's head off. That's all you need to know about Jason Takes Manhattan. He punches a man's head off and it falls into a dumpster, hits the lid, and the dumpster closes on the head.
Fantastic. That's some good cinema right there. So if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself on air, we have this little thing called a phone number that you can call and leave us a message, and then we'll play that message on air because, I mean, come on, don't you want to hear your own voice and make yourself sound special and be immortalized in audio? I know I do. That's why I do this podcast. It's not because I like talking to Brandon.
It's because we're going to live forever.
It's because we're going to live forever as long as audio.
I kind of slurred that a little bit.
We're both incredibly drunk.
It's because we're going to live forever.
You can call us at 978-DU Ogres. That's 978-386-4737. You can also reach us on Twitter at Dueling Ogres. Email us at duelingogres@gmail.com or leave a comment on the Facebook page. Here is the point where we do shout-outs. Brandon, go. Go.
Okay, so
go.
Last week I was talking, or week before last episode, I was talking about the history of the Joker.
Yes.
And the most accepted origin. And I think that I said it was from The Dark Knight.
Yes.
I was wrong.
You were.
As listeners pointed out to me. It's actually from The Killing Joke.
Fervently pointed out to you.
Fervently, yes. Fervently is a good word for it.
Multiple people did. And by multiple, I mean two.
Yeah. That's good for us.
Yes, that's real good for us.
But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because any sort of interaction is good. Tell me I'm awful. Just tell me something. So
that's right.
Larry said, blah, 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 correcting me about the killing joke. He also said he admires my Pokemon skills. They are mad, which I would agree with wholeheartedly. Viscount Terry W. Urban II told me to press on as far as writing on my first draft, and that there's a definite market for humorous sci-fi.
Yeah, which is good. Good news for you.
Mm-hmm. And then he suggested Hard Luck Hank, which he talked about on last year's interview with him as one of his favorite series.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Hines commented and said, ditto to what Terry said, all first drafts are shit. Jesse Starcher from the Source Material podcast was the second person who jumped in and corrected me that it was actually the killing joke. And then because he's a consummate professional, he used that to plug his own podcast, which I immediately deleted from the Facebook page because you can have no other gods before us.
No, you didn't.
No, it's still on there. So you can check it out. Source Material podcast. Look on Facebook.
Yeah.
But if you're torn between liking their Facebook page and liking our Facebook page, like ours first.
Yeah. Jesse's show is a lot more on point than ours.
Knowledgeable, structured.
Yeah, he has a topic.
Factual, correct, tolerable.
Right? All unctuous. Of these words. Unctuous, very unctuous. Oh, we love him.
Larry Hott commented again and said, it's good to see your shining childlike faces and hear your cherubic voices again so soon.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I hope you weren't heartbroken that we took a week off last week.
That's right. And
I know we've been saying this.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay, I was going to say, we've been saying this for years now, so I know that listeners, you guys can kind of expect this. Sometimes we miss weeks. Remington's been working a shit ton. I can't guarantee we're going to be weekly all the time. We do try our best because we know that, you know, even though our listenership isn't the most giant in the world, it does suck to not put out something on a regular basis.
Right.
So whenever we miss a week, it is for a good reason. It's not just because we're being lazy or don't want to do it. It's because it doesn't fall into one of our schedules that we can team up at the right times to actually do it.
Right. And he mentioned our cherubic faces, which probably on this episode isn't going to be a thing. So
yeah. So
I mean,
Larry.
I'm recording video right now, but it's only just for the sake of recording it. I probably won't actually edit it. I don't think I have time to. So that being said, we got
a lot of action on this Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good post. We got a lot of love.
Yeah.
So if you have never commented, head over and leave us a comment. I don't care what you put in there. Just say hi, you know?
Stephen Hines had this to say. Viscount Terry W. Urban II commented, apparently Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo from South Park, also a Dueling Ogres fan. He's holding the Dueling Ogres logo.
Yeah, I poo-pooed all over that idea.
Yeah, that's some good wordplay, buddy.
Thanks.
Stephen Hines commented, and I have no idea if this is what we discussed in the episode or if he's just being fucking weird.
Right.
He said, I love you, Brandon, even if you dissed me.
Yeah.
Dragon Fingers, which it ended up being Dragon Fingers, right? On second listen, it was Dragon Fingers. Then he says, I dream of Rem milking me.
Uh-huh. Remember when I was doing the milking motion? And you were like, if you were pantomiming that and I had to guess what you were doing, I'd say that you were milking a cow. And I said, or a goat. Really, Brandon? I mean, I don't remember. Even when I'm done editing, I listen to our podcast.
I tend to just spew a lot of words out, and I retain about half of what I've said.
Half? I think you're being generous, sir. Make sure to... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm still fucking going.
By all means.
He said, what's your opinion on Preacher Season 2? I haven't watched it yet.
I also haven't watched it yet.
So our opinion is nothing. He said he watched the Tick pilot and loved it. I finished the Tick the day after we recorded.
Right.
And I have some stuff to say about it. At some point, you need to finish it so we can really get into it.
Yeah.
But I have to say I liked it. I came around. I gave it a fair shot at the beginning, and I liked it okay.
Yeah.
It grew on me. I was sad that it only had 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Lowe, the only person at all, who does the River City Comic Con, commented and linked a scene from Community that had to do with the KFC virtual reality stuff we talked about last week.
Right. And
so thank you, everybody, for all of the comments.
And I did interstitch the video playing as you were talking about it. So
nice.
Yeah. I'm very fancy. You missed all sorts of things. There was a little, remember how I was talking about Chewbacca popping up in the scene? Mm-hmm. I did that. He popped up and like zipped away real quick.
But you couldn't make shit pop over mine and Terry's heads during the live interview?
I was in a hurry to get the episode out. This one I took my time on. It released like 4 days after the actual audio came out. So go fuck yourself, Brandon. Make sure to subscribe on our website, duelingogres.com, for news and articles pertaining to some of your favorite geek news. We still have Amanda, who's still pumping out some articles about some of her favorite YouTubers, because that's her one of her favorite places to get entertainment is the YouTubes. Yeah. If you have any interest in writing your own geeky articles about nerddom, or if you want to share a cool nerdy recipe, or if you want to do some crochet, we had somebody do that. She expressed interest. I need to get a hold of her and see if there's anything else she wants to write up. I ran into her one day at Walmart and we talked about it briefly, and I'm terrible at networking. So
yes,
if you're listening, just hit us up. Don't expect us to get a hold of you because we're stupid. We're stupid and we don't remember things. It's a fault.
Yeah.
Don't hold it against us. Just love us for who we are. And finally, be sure to leave a 5-star review on iTunes, or hit us up on YouTube and watch some of the videos that we actually have that are us live talking. Well, I guess it wouldn't be live. It's a video. Or just listen to us. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the little bell so you get the notifications. You know, that's slowly getting up there. It's going. It's plugging. Yeah. It's bebopping along. I love bebopping. I do.
Bebopping's a strictly Remington saying.
It really is. It's a solely Remington saying. I just love to bebop around.
Yeah. It's like the way that my grandpa would refer to sex, probably.
Right.
We were bebopping back in the 50s.
Exactly. That sounds good. Sounds real good sex.
That's going in my sex book.
That's that's going in the sex book. You can find us
down here.
You can find us. You can find us anywhere. You can find a podcast, literally anywhere. We're all over the place. There's a dog in the background. So until next week, Ogres, is there anything else you have to say?
No.
Right. Okay, so until next week, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt.
And your tusks sharp.
Good night.
I just enjoyed you going, there's a dog in the background, and then laughing to yourself. You're like, there's a dog in the background.
Oh, there's a dog in the background now. There you go, Brandon.
Perfect, thank you.
It's a good ending to the show. Record, turning off my thing so I can't hear myself because that is annoying. We need a word. Today's word is
keen,
boobalicious,
heroin, quest,
boobalicious,
science,
boobalicious,
landscape,
boobalicious, boobalicious,
syntax.
Nope.
Really, boobalicious.
All right, fine. Syntax.
Syntaxalicious.
No, syntactful. Syntactful.
You're a regular William Shakespeare making up your own words, Remington.
Regular fucking bunch of monkeys with typewriters. You know I'm all about that bass, no treble. Are you fucking like blowing a spit? Fucking, that's disgusting. I'm glad I started recording the video right then.
I didn't think you were doing video.
I'm just going to do it from Zoom, and just in case I feel like doing something with it. I might not. I might. I don't care. One or the other.
Yeah, what are you going to do? That's
Nothing.
Life.
Anything could happen.
That's what all the people say.
That's life!
It's Frank Sinatra that sings that.
I know.
You just wanted to go a little Louis Armstrong on it?
Yeah. I like Louis Armstrong's voice better.
The Satchel?
What?
The Satchafratch?
The Satchafratch?
I'm trying to come up with posthumous names for Louis Armstrong.
Posthumous?
Posthumous?
Hippopotamus?
Boobalicious.
All right, perfect.